Y'all, it's been a while. There's an art form in Japan called kintsugi, used to describe repairing a piece of stoneware or ceramic, applying gold to fill in the cracks before it's reglazed and refired. As Steve said in the intro, I had the pleasure of taking my seat as the Autumn Chair, looking at the pieces of the canceled 2020 annual meeting. I'd like to talk a little about what the pandemic has taught us about our jobs, this profession, and the communities we serve, and about how we put the pieces back together. COVID presented us all with a specific challenge. Society needed to quickly gain access to every possible innovation we might have to assist in the pandemic. We all wondered, how do you do more of everything you've been doing while the very business model and our employees' lives have been turned upside down? And for Autumn, how does a professional development and training association, I don't know, survive when we can't actually do any of the things that people pay us to do? As chair-elect, then chair, the decisions came fast and furious. The question was simple: could we survive? After canceling the meeting, one group focused solely on how to undo what we'd already done. You know that force majeure clause? It's kind of important. We focused on the financial health of the association and determined within days, thanks to the brilliant financial stewardship of former Treasurer Graham Morton, that even the shambolic loss of revenues for the year could be tolerated. Knowing this provided the clarity needed to focus on what we could do and provide in the moment, while still being unsure of the future. The COVID licensing guidelines were announced shortly thereafter as guidance and support for all of you for the licensing models you needed to create solutions in your own backyards. Plans for once dreaded virtual meetings were hatched. And we started the now popular water coolers to have open discussions on pressing issues, including, and most notably, in the wake of the aftermath of George Floyd's murder, when we all weren't sure we could take much more. There were early conversations on whether we could even fund tech transfer. We can. We made quick, sometimes risky decisions with focus on applying the core ideas of what Autumn was to what it had to be going forward. You can see the legacy and influence at this meeting, from recorded sessions, improved networking tools, though thankfully we chose not to incorporate pajama days. I have to admit, when my university closed, I thought back to a conversation 3 years before with John Ritter. Hey, John, turns out you can run a virtual tech transfer office, even if you don't want to. As head of an office, the decisions were different. All those interpersonal issues you might solve with in-person meetings and quick side conversations evaporated with little to replace them. Coordination felt harder, and finding the right balance between team building and annoying obligation was fluid. We did Thursday afternoon happy hours, trivia nights, and a dozen other things to rebuild camaraderie, all while balancing a major influx of ideas to manage, evaluate, and partner. On a personal level, pressure came from other quarters as well. I was asked by UNH to build a COVID lab from scratch and get it CLIA certified and operational in 100 days. A university that often put the free in live free or die greenlit a $3 million spend. At one point, I even had to step down from the role as chair for a month to serve my own campus. Laura and Rich, thanks for stepping in. Our typical risk aversion evaporated. In bringing the lab operational, I kept falling back on some old questions I used when I was a licensing manager. Is this a reasonable outcome based on the science? And what if this actually worked? We opened on time and ran over 500,000 tests in the first year because failure wasn't an option. We were praised by the White House as a national best practice. The pieces somehow held together, just like all of you. 4 years after the last time we were here, we're celebrating something of a return to normalcy in the place made famous for keeping things weird. But in the race to normal, let's recognize that while disruptions broke some things we all loved, the repairs took unexpected forms. Introverts, uncomfortable in large groups, embraced video conferencing and Slack to communicate. Assumptions about how the commercialization of science worked were erased and rewritten overnight. And who among us would have ever thought that the researchers and partners we work with would prefer to talk to us over Zoom, and that now we have to fight for an in-person meeting? Our startups raised money over video. Early stage capital not only didn't slow down, it seemed to accelerate. The ideas we worked so hard to get out the door actually went out and made an impact. Many of the major successes from the pandemic response had their origins in academic research labs, vaccines, untold number of diagnostics, therapeutics, AI, and machine learning, more solutions more quickly than has likely happened since the Manhattan Project. Unified, industry, universities, and government responded for a shared purpose. The world reawakened to the value of early-stage research, and here in the United States, funding these efforts became not only possible, you just heard it actually happened. It happened now because everybody in this room, no matter the role, did your part. You proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that what we do matters, that it can save lives, that the link between the commercialization of science and societal benefit is direct and powerful. Whether it was writing an MTA, signing a license, collaborating together on critical science, or manufacturing the end products we all used. We worked faster, took more risks, and acted with a sense of urgency that occasionally might have been lacking in the past. And I hope we keep these things with us going forward. Decide quicker, focus on benefits over risks, be productively impatient. Our profession has been disrupted in how we do deals, how we find and hire talent, and in the ways we work. I was hired into my new position at NYU in a process that took 9 days from start to finish, all over video calls. This would have been unheard of prior to COVID. My office has staff members in 7 different states and even Abu Dhabi to serve the needs of our faculty, an approach we plan to keep for the foreseeable future. Many of you also went hybrid. Some workplaces remain fully remote still. Lots of us changed jobs. And everyone asked the question, do we really ever have to go to the office full time again? Through it all, we were exposed to more of the actual lives of our colleagues, seeing them as whole people versus someone responsible for a specific role. You met their pets, their kids, their significant others. Things that were invisible in the old way of working are part of our collective understanding today. We share struggles and stresses more openly and, in my experience, show more grace and kindness when life gets in the way while still acknowledging that the boundaries are fuzzier. I don't know that we have it right quite yet, but I think we're on our way. Kintsugi also represents something more. It's a philosophy of change. It's important to respect and honor both the breaks and the repairs, to acknowledge a shared history and recognize that the new version of what was once considered static is still fundamentally similar, but the changes can be better and in ways that make it impossible to imagine the way it was. Like logging off and seeing your loved ones almost instantly as you commute from your desk to the kitchen to help make dinner. Most importantly, these changes reminded us of the values of being together, first with our family, then with our friends, then with our coworkers, and now back together with all of you, even Army. That's the gold. It is very, truly good to see you again.